Hello everybody, so welcome back to another video here. Today we're going to be reviewing the Indian Removal Act. So we're looking to describe the historical arguments around the Indian Removal Act, analyzing the legacy of President Andrew Jackson, and exploring the specific acts of resistance that Native Americans took to resist being forcibly moved from their native lands to new territory west of the Mississippi. So talking about the Indian Removal Act, we first begin by looking at President Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson was a lawyer and a landowner. He became a National War hero after defeating the British at the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812 and was elected the 7th President of the United States in 1828. Now, he was known as the People's President. Today, modern historians refer to him as a populist president. Meaning that he had the support of the common man, of the common people. He also, some of the noteworthy things that he did during his presidency, he destroyed the Second Bank of the United States. He caused an economic depression as a result of his policies. He also enacted the spoils system, where he began removing people from office who did not support him and replaced them with friends and family members and those who were loyal to him. Also, President Jackson expanded the powers of the presidency, and we have a political cartoon on the next slide here, referring to him as King Andrew I. He used his veto power, and right here, if we can make this out right here, he is stepping on the Constitution of the United States. So he really overstepped his bounds as president and expanded his political powers as much as possible to meet his own desires. Jackson is one of the most aggressive and controversial presidents. He fought in over 100 duels during his life and actually killed one person in a duel before he was elected president. He was an ardent supporter of individual liberty. He fostered political and governmental change, including prominent and lasting national policies, and most notably the Indian Removal Act. Now, the Indian Removal Act was signed by Jackson in 1830, authorized that Native Americans could be removed from their tribal lands and moved out west to new territory, expanding the country. Now, President Jackson said that it was incalculably strengthening the southwestern frontier and would enable those states to advance rapidly in population, wealth, and power. Here we have a map just showing some of the locations where Native Americans were forced to walk on foot, escorted at times by state militia and military personnel, to the new reserved Indian lands that were mapped out in the Indian Removal Act. Now, there were several arguments in Congress surrounding this debate where some members of Congress were not in support of the Indian Removal Act. And that is where we turn to looking at the acts of resistance of Native Americans at this time. Specifically talking about the Cherokee Nation. I'll leave this link in the box down below. Resisting removal. It's from the perspective of those who are current members of the Cherokee Nation. So it gives us the understanding of their point of view. Now, the Cherokee Nation, there was a treaty signed with members of the Cherokee Nation, the Treaty of Echota, but that was not signed by the leader of the Cherokee Nation or any of the members of the Leadership Council of the Cherokee Nation. It was signed with the U.S. government, and it effectively handed over Cherokee Native lands to the U.S. government and agreed to the removal of Cherokees from their land to the new territories that the U.S. had mapped out for them. Now, the leader of the Cherokee Nation at the time actively resisted this. They petitioned in Congress, and they actually had their petition, which was signed by over 2,000 members of the Cherokee Nation, went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And we have the Supreme Court case right over here, which traverses Georgia. And the Supreme Court actually ruled in favor of the Cherokee Nation, saying the Cherokee Nation is a community occupying its own territory in which the laws of Georgia can have no force. And that was from Chief Justice John Marshall. And effectively, Andrew Jackson ignored that statement, ignored the Supreme Court case, stating that it was already in progress. And thousands of Native Americans, Cherokee included, were forced onto the Trail of Tears, where they were forced to march to their new homelands, their new location that they were being relocated to. Thousands of Native Americans would die along these journeys. They were forcibly removed from their homes, at times not allowed to bring any of their possessions, and told to begin marching on foot to their new location. So when we're talking about the legacy of Andrew Jackson, recognizing that he is somebody featured on our currency today, what does that show us about how he has been viewed and possibly how he should be viewed in the future? The current movement to remove Andrew Jackson from the $20 bill, replacing his face with that of Harriet Tubman, is one that is in progress. Considering why would we be removing Andrew Jackson, recognizing his legacy, what he left behind, and the way he treated Native Americans, how do we rationalize keeping him on our currency? So some things to consider. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped review a little bit the Indian Removal Act. See you next time.